It's the Murphy's Law Podcast.
Hey guys. So we are halfway through this week. It is Wednesday. We have a lot of responding to do in Parlay, so we want to make sure you have time to get right into that. Let's look at the tasks for the week.
Agenda review.
So now we've finished the novel. We're all the way through chapter 12. You guys have a good understanding of how the characters have developed and evolved from the beginning to the end. And that's the conversation that you're having in Parlay. It's focused around, are the socials responsible? Hopefully by yesterday, you should have posted your original response. And now today, you're going in and you're evaluating other people's responses and you're responding in a respectful manner, right? So today, this is the goal here. We want to look at this conversation people are having across. Everybody's talking to everybody else. Some people are talking a little bit more. That's the width. Some people are talking a little bit more than other people, but ideally everybody would be equal width. And then those lines would be going everywhere because everybody's talking and responding to everybody else. That's the goal. So make sure you're jumping in today, you're going to jump in tomorrow, and you're going to jump in Friday. And you're going to continue that conversation and that dialogue. And as people respond to you, respond back to them. Don't ignore them. Don't leave them hanging. Respond back to them and let them know what you think of their response and how you can help them maybe come to the conclusion that you did. So that's our tasks throughout this week. Today we're starting a new poem. And tomorrow there is the optional Google Hangout at 10:30 a.m. if you would like to jump in. So, and then Friday we're finishing the poem and our parlay discussion. So let's take a look at that poem.
Assignment awareness.
So the poem by Kipling from the early 1900s. Now, it may seem like a long time ago, but the idea, it focuses on growing up. So what I want you to do is think about how the speaker values growing up. Okay? And then for question 5, if you connect it to the outsiders, there's a possibility of bonus points. That's obviously one of the themes in the text. That's one of the discussions that we had throughout the audio readings, as well as with guest appearance that we had a couple weeks ago. That idea of growing up and how when you're young, you want to grow up. When you grow up, it's not so great. So that's the poem that we're going to be reading. Look at the tutorial that's attached to the assignment today so that you can maybe get further insight into how to respond to those questions. And speaking of responses, we had some interesting responses to Melody Monday. Let's take a look at them.
Responsorama.
First thing we need to evaluate is your guys' casting ability. If you were working on a film and it was about a gang of teenagers, you probably don't want to cast people that are in their 60s. So I think some of you guys even did the original, cast the original cast members from the 1983 movie. And that's a little bit of a problem because they are older than me. And I wouldn't make a very good teenager in a novel, although a lot of people think I act like a teenager. But that's a whole nother discussion. So, but there were some good responses and some good actors. I had to actually look up, ideally I would have to look them up because I don't know a lot of young actors and actresses. So Araya offered Asher Angel to play Ponyboy Curtis because of his rugged good looks. Gabriella offered Bethan Wright and possibly as Cheryl or Marcia, one of the Soch girls. That would be good. Noah Jupe, who I had to look up. And I like A Quiet Place. So Noah Jupe would be a good one for Johnny as well. So some good suggestions there, I think. For a lot of you guys, though, if you're going to be the casting director for a major film, you might need to evaluate some of the characteristics you want to see in those characters. And let's look at Word Out Wednesday, finally.
Word Out Wednesday.
Speaking of the time period for the novel, I want to know a unique word that stood out to you in the novel. All right, there are many unique words that might even have different meanings for us today. I don't want to use any of them as an example because I don't want to give anything away that you guys might want to use because you wouldn't be able to use my example. So find a unique word that might appear multiple times. It might just appear once in the novel that is unique to that time period and share what that word is and why it kind of stood out to you. All right. So that is your Word Out Wednesday task. Jump into the Google Hangout tomorrow at 10:30. It is optional. Make sure you look at the poem tutorial for the poem If, and continue your conversation in Parlay. That's all for this Wednesday edition of Murphy's Law Podcast. We'll catch you on the flippity flip.